left arm wristy or leg spin, a lot of people put the ball too far in their hand and they grip it too tightly. And what that means, if you put it in too far into your hand like that, so there's no gap that you can see between here, it's very hard to then spin the ball. You've got to actually get the ball out a little bit, so there's a tiny little gap, not too far back in your hand like that. So just keep a little gap in there, so which gives you the leverage, and keep a nice relaxed grip too. Nice and relaxed hand, so you can then just spin the ball. If you, as I said, if you're too tight and it's too far back in your hand, you can't get it out. So that enables you to spin the ball. And then one of the hardest thing, I think a lot of people say, where are all the spinners, the young spinners been? And I think one of the things is that when there's a lot of spinners up to 15, 16 years of age that are very, very good. But then what happens, they don't have much love or they don't have much support from the captain or the coach.
Yeah.
And it's really important, the captain and the coach, to support them, because if you're a young leggy, for instance, it's very hard craft to do as a 15-year-old. You might not be developed or strong enough in your wrist to try and bowl them. And you bowl a couple of double bounces or you get hit out the park. The captain then says, have a break. We'll go back to
no more from you.
Yeah, that's it. Right. We'll go back medium pace. So what I'm hearing from a lot of the local cricket clubs is there's so many young, talented players, but what happens is they lose interest because they don't get a game or there's no support for them. I think so any advice out there for the dads that are helping the young spinners or the coaches is really support the kids. And I think just encourage them. You said you did well today. So we know what spin bowling's like and what an effect it can have on the game. So as young spinners, they need a lot of encouragement. They need a lot of support. And the only other tip I'll say to them is, no matter how far they hit you out the park or down the road for 6 and it goes down the drain, you still get another ball and you have another crack at them the next ball. So I just think you've got to have a bit of courage, and I think it's also very important that coaches and captains support the young spinners.
Absolutely, and Heels, I'm sure from a wicket-keeping perspective, if a spinner's going for a few, you probably feel you're in the game as well for a possible stumping. Or
yeah, definitely, and especially that 14 and 15-year-old that you talk about, they can quite often bounce the ball a lot and spin it a lot, and so keep throwing it up and spin it hard. And it's a combination. A wicket-keeper can look with the spinner on a combination of amount of spin, the speed, and the flight. How do you strategise between those three?
Well, I think the one thing is that you can do some drills to practice that stuff. And one of the easiest things is to always have a cricket ball. Make sure you do your homework on that first, but then always carry a cricket ball in your hand and just spin it in your hand all the time, because what that does, it gives you a feel. And you know, you can bowl all the different deliveries and suddenly one will come out a bit different. You go, oh, what did I do there? So then what you can do, you can take that to the nets or the backyard, and you can do the same sort of thing that you've just done this all day, feeling it. Then you can go down and just actually bowl those different things and they'll react in different ways. The other best thing you have is natural variation as a spinner. One just doesn't come out the same, whether it be an off spin or whatever, it just doesn't come out the same. And that's where you get extra bounce or extra spin where you might not need it, or it just skids on. So the best tip you can do is always do this in your hand, always do that, whatever you are, off spin, leg spin, whatever. Go and practice in the backyard and keep practicing, because one will come out a bit slower, one will come out quicker. Try and bowl faster at times and see if you can spin the ball. I guarantee you, the slower you bowl, the more spin you'll get.
And I think the arm for a leg spinner, if it's straight up, you're probably going to get less spin than if you're out at a bit of an angle and rip around the seam that way.
Yep, 45 degrees is probably the best if you're a leg spinner. That's, you know, between that's straight and then right up, it's too high because you can't get the purchase on it. So if you go somewhere in between there and there, around there, you'll notice that when you bowl, when you spin the ball, that's the right height for you.
Yes.
And then you've got to stay there. Sometimes when you get tired, you get it lower. So some of the things you can say to yourself is think high, spin up. That means you're always trying to spin the ball up. You can beat them in flight, because that's what you want the spinners to do. Spin the ball and beat them in flight. And if you can do that in the backyard, grab your mate, grab your wicket keeper, take them down the nets and bowl to them. Just keep bowling all the time. Put the odd ball down on the pitch, see if you can hit it. And then it's about repetition. You're not going to get better without practicing. You've got to go out there and feel it all the time. You're doing this, then you're going down and bowling hour after hour after hour, trying to hit the ball, trying to bowl to your mate, whatever it might be, and you'll slowly improve. But never forget, always spin the ball.
And different combinations for different batsmen. You are very good at summing up what this batsman likes to do and what you have to do to him. So work on each individual batsman.
Yep, exactly. And once you work out, you can see a weakness in them or where you think you want to bowl the ball, you've got to try and do that. That's when you need your wicket keepers, you need your fielders to keep them on strike. You might hear us talk on commentary all the time. Keep him on strike, the singles. And if you've got a plan to try and get, if I want to try and get Heels out, trying to hit through mid-wicket, for instance, and get a leading edge, then we don't want him to get off strike. We've got to keep him on strike. So it's really important those fielders and everyone backs you up when you're bowling. So
I like the combination, and sometimes the unsung hero can be the wicket
Yeah,
keeper.
all the time.
If you're
drummer in the band,
but
isn't
if
he?
you're mistake free, no one really says anything. But to keep to Warnie for all those years, how hard was that?
Well, it was a delight in the first innings, and then most of day 4, absolute delight. And then you'd hear him talk to Mark Taylor. I think we should go round the wicket. Oh, no, no. So when he starts going round the wicket and the batsman gets in my way, that's when the game becomes a bit challenging for the wicketkeeper.
Heels actually went in Adelaide one day.
Yes.
He kept
Stayed down there.
And it was actually quite funny standing at the top of the mark around the wicket. And there's Heels standing, instead of standing on the outside of the bat,
Yeah.
was on the leg side,
Yeah, I
standing
kept
this
down.
side. And I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "That's all right." And then because he was so good, he could do that. He could take him from all
It
sorts
was
of places.
uncomfortable that day. It was really hard. They were sliding down legs, so I stayed down there.
He was very, very good.
Now we love.